Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, the largest Marine Corps installation on the East Coast. 840 square miles of training grounds, weapons ranges, and facilities dedicated to preparing Marines for combat operations. On a Monday morning in June, the temperature was already climbing toward 90 degrees. Private First Class Amanda Torres was picking up brass at one of the auxiliary ranges. She was 29 years old, and her official military record stated that she'd been in the Marine Corps for 14 months. What her record didn't show was that Amanda had already served 13 years in military intelligence with the Army. She'd already had an entire career. She'd already deployed to combat zones. She'd already seen things that most people would never see. But nobody at Camp Lejeune knew any of that. To everyone around her, Amanda Torres was a junior enlisted Marine doing entry-level work. She was invisible in the way that junior personnel are often invisible, present but not really seen, noticed but not really known. Amanda had joined the Marine Corps as a private civilian record, something she was allowed to do because of specific regulations. She'd left behind her Army career, her rank, her security clearances, and her position in military intelligence. She'd done it because she needed to become someone new. She'd done it because the old Amanda had been broken by what she'd experienced, and she needed to find out if there was anything worth saving. She was bending down to pick up a spent cartridge when she noticed something. A gunnery sergeant had arrived at the range. The gunnery sergeant was conducting a sniper training exercise with a team of 4 advanced operators. They were running a long-distance engagement scenario. The gunnery sergeant's name was Michael Chen, and he was 46 years old. He was a legendary sniper with 24 years of Marine Corps service. He'd been featured in military publications. He'd trained hundreds of snipers. He was exactly the kind of person who noticed things that other people missed. Michael was setting up the exercise when he happened to glance in Amanda's direction. She was bending down, picking up brass, and in that moment her sleeve rode up slightly. Michael caught a glimpse of a tattoo on her upper arm. It was a specific tattoo, a unit insignia, not a Marine Corps unit, an Army unit, the insignia of the Army's 75th Ranger Regiment. Michael froze. He stared at the tattoo for just a moment. Then Amanda straightened up, and her sleeve fell back down, covering the mark. But Michael had seen it, and he understood what it meant. This junior enlisted Marine picking up brass had once been a member of one of the most elite military units in the world. The 75th Ranger Regiment wasn't something you just joined. You had to pass one of the most difficult selection courses in the military. You had to be physically and mentally exceptional. You had to be willing to operate at the highest levels of combat readiness. Michael finished setting up his exercise on autopilot. He ran the training scenario. His snipers performed well. But his mind wasn't on the exercise. His mind was on that tattoo. His mind was on the question of why someone who'd been a ranger would be picking up brass as a junior enlisted Marine in the Marine Corps. That evening, Michael did something he rarely did. He requested a meeting with the commanding officer of the range facility. "I need to ask you about one of the personnel assigned to range support," Michael said to the commander. "A private first class named Amanda Torres. I have some questions about her background." The commander pulled up her file. It showed exactly what Michael already knew: 14 months of service, assignment to range support, no notable incidents, no disciplinary records. It was a clean, unremarkable file. "Why the interest?" the commander asked. "Just something I noticed," Michael said. "Nothing specific." But Michael knew that wasn't true. He knew exactly what he'd noticed. He'd noticed a ranger tattoo on a Marine private's arm, and he knew that there was a story there. A significant story. The kind of story that didn't show up in official records. Michael decided to do something direct. The next day, he arranged for Amanda to be assigned to help with the sniper range cleanup and equipment maintenance. It wasn't an unusual request. Range personnel often helped with equipment maintenance. Amanda arrived at the range in the afternoon. Michael was waiting for her. "Private Torres," he said, "I need you to help me clean the precision rifles. They need to be thoroughly detailed before they're stored." "Yes, Gunnery Sergeant," Amanda said. They worked in silence for about 20 minutes. Then Michael asked a casual question. "You ever shot rifles before you joined the Marines?" he asked. "Some hunting with family, gunnery sergeant," Amanda said, which was technically true but incomplete. "That's good," Michael said. "Gives you a foundation. What about other military experience? Ever thought about joining before the Marines?" Amanda's entire body went rigid. She knew what was happening. She knew he'd seen something. She was trying to figure out how much to reveal. "No, gunnery sergeant," she said. "You sure?" Michael asked. He set down the rifle he was cleaning and looked directly at Amanda. "Because I could have sworn I saw a 75th Ranger Regiment tattoo on your arm yesterday. And I'm trying to figure out why someone who was a ranger would be picking up brass as a junior enlisted Marine." Amanda didn't answer for a long moment. She stared at the rifle in front of her, unable to meet Michael's eyes. "If I was in the Rangers," Amanda said very quietly, "I wouldn't be talking about it." "I'm not asking you to talk about it," Michael said. "I'm asking you to explain to me why you've hidden that experience. Why you're pretending to be a junior Marine when you've already served in one of the most elite units in the military." Amanda finally looked up at him. When she spoke, her voice was different. It wasn't the careful, controlled voice of a junior enlisted Marine. It was the voice of someone who'd seen combat, someone who'd carried weight, someone who'd been broken and was trying to put herself back together. "Because I needed to disappear," Amanda said. "I needed to become someone else. I needed to get away from who I was and what I'd seen. And I couldn't do that if everyone knew that I'd been a ranger. That identity was too heavy, so I became a private. I became nobody, and I was okay with that." Michael listened, without interrupting. "I had a team," Amanda continued. 6 people. We'd been together for 4 years. I was their team leader. We did missions that I can't talk about. We saved lives. We lost lives. And then we got ambushed. My team was killed. All 6 of them. I was the only one who made it out." She paused, breathing carefully, controlling emotion. "I spent 2 years in therapy trying to deal with that," Amanda said. "And nothing worked. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't function. I couldn't stop seeing their faces. So my therapist suggested that maybe I needed to step away completely. Maybe I needed to break from everything that reminded me of who I was. And that's when I decided to join the Marines as a private, to start over, to see if I could find any part of myself that was worth saving." Michael sat down. He understood what Amanda was describing. He'd known combat veterans. He'd known people who'd been broken by what they'd experienced. He'd known people who'd tried to disappear and start over. "How's that working?" Michael asked gently. "I don't know yet," Amanda said. "I've been in the Marines for 14 months. I pick up brass. I do maintenance. I keep my head down. And sometimes I feel a little bit better. Sometimes I can go a day without seeing their faces. That's progress." Michael nodded slowly. He understood the kind of pain that drove someone to hide their entire identity. "I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly," Michael said. "Do you think becoming someone else is going to help you heal? Or are you just extending the time until you have to deal with what actually happened?" Amanda didn't answer immediately. "I think," Michael said, "you need to talk to someone, a professional, someone who understands combat trauma. Not just a therapist, but someone who gets what it's like to lose people you loved." "I've tried that," Amanda said. "Did you try talking to another combat veteran?" Michael asked. "Because that's different. That's someone who actually understands what you're going through." Michael made a decision in that moment. He decided to take Amanda's hidden pain and transform it into something useful. He decided to not let her continue to hide. Michael arranged for Amanda to meet with the base's combat trauma specialist, a retired Army psychologist named Dr. Richard Hayes. Dr. Hayes had spent 26 years in the military. He'd worked with hundreds of combat veterans dealing with PTSD and trauma. He understood what Amanda was experiencing. During their first session, Amanda told Dr. Hayes everything. She told him about her team. She told him about the ambush. She told him about the guilt of being the only survivor. She told him about trying to disappear into the Marine Corps to escape the memories. "The problem," Dr. Hayes said, "is that you can't escape yourself. You can change your uniform. You can change your rank. You can change your location. But you can't escape your memories. You can't escape your pain. The only way out is through. Over the next several months, Amanda began the real work of healing. It wasn't easy. There were days when she felt like she was moving backward instead of forward. There were nights when she couldn't sleep. There were moments when she wanted to quit everything. But Dr. Hayes kept her moving forward. And Michael, who'd arranged the whole thing, kept showing up. Michael would appear during Amanda's difficult times. He'd sit with her. He wouldn't say much. He'd just make sure she knew she wasn't alone. After 3 months of intensive therapy, Amanda made a decision. She decided to tell Michael her real story. Not the abbreviated version, but the full version. Every detail of her time as a ranger. Every mission she could discuss. Every moment of the ambush. Every feeling she'd had about being the survivor. Michael listened to all of it. When Amanda finished, Michael said something that changed her perspective. "You didn't survive by accident," Michael said. "You survived because you were good. You were good enough and fast enough and smart enough to get out of a situation that killed 5 other people. That's not luck. That's capability. That's the training you received. That's who you are as a warrior." "Then why do I feel like I should have died with them?" Amanda asked. "Because you're human," Michael said. "Because you loved them. Because survivor's guilt is one of the hardest things to process. But here's what I know. Your team members died knowing that at least one of them was going to make it out. They'd want you to live. They'd want you to honor their memory by being the best version of yourself possible." Michael made another decision. He requested that Amanda be reassigned from range support to advanced marksmanship training. He requested her promotion to corporal. He told his commanding officer that Amanda had hidden combat experience, and he wanted to develop her as an instructor. Amanda was hesitant about the transfer. "I don't know if I'm ready," she said. "You're ready," Michael said. "You've been ready, you're just scared. And that's okay. But you can't spend your whole life picking up brass because you're scared." Amanda began her new assignment as a marksmanship instructor. At first, she was nervous. She hadn't trained anyone in years. She wasn't sure if she still had what it took. But the moment she stepped onto the range and started working with young Marines, something shifted. She was teaching them what the Rangers had taught her. She was sharing not just techniques but philosophy. She was teaching them that shooting wasn't just about hitting targets. It was about discipline. It was about focus. It was about understanding your weapon and yourself. The Marines responded to her instruction. They improved quickly. And Amanda began to understand something. Teaching was healing her. Every time she helped a young Marine improve, every time she saw someone get better because of her instruction, she was honoring her fallen team members. She was turning their knowledge into something that would save lives. Michael watched her progress and made another decision. He recommended Amanda for promotion to gunnery sergeant and a position as senior marksmanship instructor. Within a year of that first moment when he'd seen her tattoo, Amanda had been promoted twice and was running the marksmanship program for the entire base. But the most significant moment came when a young female Marine came to Amanda after a training session. "Thank you," the Marine said. "I didn't think I belonged here. I didn't think I was good enough to be a sniper. But watching you, hearing you teach, understanding that women have been doing this work at the highest levels, it gave me confidence." Amanda hugged that young Marine, and she understood that Michael had been right. She couldn't escape her pain by hiding it. She could only honor her pain by using it to help others. A year after Michael had seen her tattoo, Amanda received a call from a Ranger unit. They'd learned, through military networks, that she was now teaching marksmanship in the Marines. They wanted to know if she'd be interested in consulting with them on training programs. Amanda agreed. She spent the next several months developing a curriculum that combined Ranger techniques with Marine Corps methods. The resulting training program was exceptional. It produced snipers and marksmen who had both the technical skill and the warrior mentality that distinguished elite military personnel. Michael watched all of this happen with quiet satisfaction. He'd seen something broken and had helped it heal. He'd seen someone hiding and had given her a reason to step back into the light. 2 years after that moment on the range, Amanda was promoted to Master Gunnery Sergeant. She was now a senior advisor on marksmanship training for the entire Marine Corps. She was respected. She was valued. She was herself again. 5 years after Michael had seen her unit tattoo, Amanda was sitting across from a television journalist who was interviewing her about her journey from the Army Rangers to the Marines. "Why did you leave the Rangers?" the journalist asked. Amanda thought carefully before responding. "I didn't leave because I stopped being a Ranger," she said. "I left because I needed time to grieve. I lost my team, and I needed to step away from everything that reminded me of them so I could process that loss." "And did becoming a Marine help you do that?" the journalist asked. "It did," Amanda said, "but not because I was hiding. It helped because it gave me purpose again. It helped because I was teaching the next generation. It helped because I was turning my pain into something useful." She paused, thinking about Michael, thinking about Dr. Hayes, thinking about the moment on the range when someone had finally seen her. "But the real healing came from people who recognized that I was broken and helped me anyway," Amanda said. "I had a gunnery sergeant who saw my old unit tattoo and refused to let me continue hiding. I had a therapist who understood combat trauma. I had mentors who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And I had a community that supported me." The interview was broadcast on military news networks, and it sparked conversations about combat trauma, about the importance of peer support, and about the courage it takes to ask for help. Amanda received letters from dozens of combat veterans who'd watched the interview. They told her that her story had helped them understand their own pain. They told her that knowing she'd survived ambush and loss and grief had given them hope that they could survive too. Amanda also received a call from one of her Rangers. His name was James, and he'd been part of her team's closest friend unit. James had thought Amanda was dead. He'd thought she'd been killed in the ambush. He'd spent 5 years not knowing what had happened to her. When he heard her voice, he cried. "I thought we lost you," James said. "You almost did," Amanda said. "But I got help, I'm still here, and I'm teaching others what you taught me." Amanda invited James to visit Camp Lejeune. When he arrived, she introduced him to Michael Chen. Michael, who'd recognized Amanda's pain and had refused to let her carry it alone. Michael, who'd seen something broken and had helped heal it. The three of them stood on the same range where Amanda had been picking up brass. The same range where Michael had seen her tattoo. The same range where everything had changed. "Thank you," James said to Michael, "for seeing her, for helping her, for understanding that she was more than she was pretending to be." "I just asked the right question," Michael said, "and she was brave enough to answer it." 10 years after that Tuesday morning, when Michael had seen the tattoo, Amanda was promoted to Sergeant Major. She was one of the highest-ranking women in the Marine Corps. She was overseeing marksmanship training across multiple installations. She was a mentor to officers and enlisted personnel at the highest levels. But what Amanda was most proud of wasn't her rank. It was the Marines she'd trained. It was the people who'd come to her broken and had left whole. It was the young women who understood that they could be warriors. It was the combat veterans who'd seen her story and understood that healing was possible. Amanda established a scholarship program for combat veterans interested in continuing their service in different capacities. The program provided funding and mentorship for people transitioning between branches of service or between military and civilian careers. Over 10 years, the program had helped over 300 veterans find new purpose after experiencing combat trauma. One day, a young Ranger arrived at the Marine Corps facility. The Ranger was interested in transitioning to the Marines the way Amanda had done. Amanda sat down with the Ranger and told her story. "I was broken," Amanda said simply. "I lost my team. I didn't think I could be fixed, and I thought that hiding from who I was would help. It didn't. What helped was having people who wouldn't let me hide. What helped was having mentors who saw my potential even when I couldn't see it myself. What helped was doing work that honored the people I'd lost." The Ranger listened carefully. "Do you regret leaving the Rangers?" she asked. "No," Amanda said. "I don't regret it because I didn't leave the Rangers. I took the Rangers with me. I took the training. I took the values. I took the brotherhood. And I've spent the last 10 years passing all of that on to the next generation. 15 years after Michael had seen her tattoo, Amanda was preparing to retire from the Marine Corps. She'd given everything she had. She'd healed. She'd taught. She'd led. And now it was time for the next chapter. At her retirement ceremony, Michael Chen stood beside her. Michael, who'd seen something hidden and had been brave enough to call it out. Michael, who'd refused to let Amanda continue to hide. Michael, who'd understood that healing requires being seen. "Thank you," Amanda said to Michael, "for not letting me disappear." "You were never invisible," Michael said. "I could see you from the moment I arrived, and I couldn't let someone that capable hide forever." Amanda left the Marine Corps, but didn't leave the military community. She became a civilian contractor, working with various branches to develop training programs for combat veterans transitioning to new roles. She worked with the Veterans Administration. She worked with nonprofit organizations dedicated to helping veterans heal. And she kept telling her story, not because it was dramatic or special, but because it was true, and because somewhere another combat veteran was hiding just like she had hidden, and that person needed to know that healing was possible, that asking for help was strength, not weakness, that the worst moments of your life don't have to define your entire future. Amanda Torres had picked up brass as a way to disappear, but a sniper with good eyes and an open heart had seen her unit tattoo, and in seeing her, Michael Chen had given her back her life, not the life she'd had before her team died, but a new life, a different life, a life where pain was transformed into purpose. That was her legacy, not the rank or the recognition, but the understanding that every person has value. That sometimes the most important thing you can do is see someone when they're trying to hide. And that healing happens not in isolation, but in community.